Hey, what's good with the YouTube? This is your boy Rojo. This is the Rojo Room, man. What we're going to talk about today, man, is kind of a unique situation, as you could tell by the title and the thumbnail. It involves myself and some Surenos working hand in hand in the game. You know what game I'm talking about. The hustle, flipping, flopping, moving, bags, weight, etc. So what had happened is, man, I was uh I was getting pretty hot in the Bay Area. You know what I mean, doing my thing. And I had a friend who had moved out of state up to Oregon, to a little town right on the border of Oregon and Idaho. And it was a Sereno stronghold. So one day I hit him up and I'm like, what's the market like up there, essentially? And I was told that the prices were like 4 times higher than they were in the Bay. And I started, you know, plotting and planning. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna come up there with something, drop it off, and we'll split it, everything after cost, because I'd still be doubling up and they'd be doubling up. And this was a friend of mine, so I was like, cool, we'll make it happen. So anyway, I ended up mobbing up there with one of the homies from Concord. We mob up there, cut through Nevada, cut through Idaho, the quickest way to go, and it's the first town on the other side of the state line from Idaho. Well, I show up, and when I'm talking about Little Serenian Stronghold, they were everywhere, right? I show up, they're all looking at me. I'm definitely, you could tell that I'm a northerner, you know what I'm saying, as well as my boy. But we show up, I do my business with this person. And while I'm in there, I stay up there for half a day, whatnot, just because it's a decent drive. This boring ass drive through the desert, through Nevada, back down to 80, back to the Bay. While I'm there, a couple dudes show up. They're definitely Southsiders, and they're a little apprehensive. You know, these are these aren't really prison type dudes. These are straight street gang members. You know what I mean? So they're tripping on the California cat. It's obvious. They're like, they don't want to look at me. They're in the same room with me, but they don't really want to look at me. And you can tell they obviously didn't know what to do. But as I'm talking, and I guess, they decided, man, this dude seems all right, man. They kind of started laughing at my little jokes and shit, whoop de whoop. And then one of them's like, hey, I'm going to go grab some beer. And I'm like, oh, this is where he's going to go get his homies and they're going to try to lay your boy down. I was wrong, though. Dude takes off about 15 minutes later, comes back with a couple boxes of Coronas. And man, they were like, so you're a norteño, huh? I'm like, yeah, is that going to be a problem? You know what I'm saying? Then I didn't want it to be because, bro, they were all over where I was at. I mean, driving down the street, you see 6, 7 of them chilling in a couple different yards. Obviously, Surenos, bro. You know what I mean? Still straight, textbook appearance. Dodgers, blue, Cortez, crease, Dickies, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole nine. So I'm like, man, I only know one way up out of this bitch, and that's the way I came. This is a little bit before you had all these GPS applications and shit like that. Some motherfucker had a map. You know what I'm saying? Well, I get to talking with these cats, drinking a couple beers and shit. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to drink too much. Maybe they're trying to get me comfortable. And the first time I only brought a little bit. I only brought like 1 unit. And man, everything was cool. And then I'm always evaluating shit in my mind. So I'm like, all right, when I come back next time, they're going to assume I have a little bit more. They're going to think I'm comfortable, and then they're going to get me. But that never ended up coming into play. But man, it turns out that like the leader of the hood, they called him Gato. He he came by later on, like right before I was about to take off, and introduced himself. He's like, yeah, hey, the homie's been talking to me, and we know you're from out of state, bro, and I hope that don't affect nothing. We can't get shit here. You know, you know, your shit's solid, your numbers are solid, and hopefully we don't allow any type of gang stuff to get in the way of business. And I'm like, look, bro, the only thing I care about is green, homie. You know what I mean? So, you know, consider me associate, consider me a friend, consider whatever you want to consider me, and I will continue to make this stuff happen for you. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, that's cool. What's up next time? Fucking we'll whoop-de-whoop and barbecue and, you know, so on and so forth. So, you know, I kick it for a while, hanging, and they end up leaving, and I'm still on edge, man. When I leave the place, I'm kind of looking up and down the street before I come all the way out. I'm like, you know, these fools are gonna get me. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure they didn't know like I was NF or nothing like that, but they knew I wasn't their friend, essentially. Well, I end up splitting. Man, that shit goes fast, man. Almost by the time I got back, it was gone because they were controlling all the way from Boise all the way into them little small communities in between Ontario and Boise. You know what I mean? And I don't know so much the makeup of Boise per se. It's probably predominantly south, I'd imagine. There's probably some straggler homies there, you know what I mean? But it's predominantly going to be southern, more than likely. And I didn't realize they had that big of an area on lock. Well, plus, my product was straight from the stores. You know what I mean? It wasn't whopped in San Diego and then whopped again in LA and then in Fresno and then we got it. It was direct from Mexico. You know what I mean? So it was really, really good compared to everything else that was available without going all the way to the border. Man, so a couple days later, bro, as much as I didn't want to, I came back with a chunk because I didn't want to have to be making that trip all the time. And I really didn't trust nobody to farm out that kind of thing by themselves going into a hostile area. You know what I mean? So, man, a couple weeks later, I come back. Man, these fools they come up and, man, they're, you know, the handshake with the shoulder bump, the hug. Hey, what's up, homie? How was your trip? You hungry? Whoop-de-whoop. We're having a barbecue here. My brother owns the Mexican restaurant over there on the south side. And I'm just like, you know, and I could tell it was authentic. That was the thing. It wasn't like, you know, hey, we're going to get this vato that's fucking, you know, false friendship him or, you know, try to get his guard down. And don't get me wrong, I had the means to protect myself. But at the same time, when you're outnumbered, you know, 20 something to 2, that's a tall order for anybody. You know what I mean? And man, apparently the relationship, man, they were authentic dudes, man. They were, I can't remember the name of their little hood, bro. And I don't know if I'd want to blast them anyway. You know what I mean? But bro, they welcomed me with open arms. You know what I mean? They were trying to hook me up with their hyenas, you know, or their hyenas friends and shit like that. You know, like, hey, this is our homie from California. You know what I mean? And you know, and they're telling, you know, their little people like the history. They're like, yeah, we really shouldn't be getting along with this dude, but you know, sometimes, you know, you just have to sacrifice for the greater good. And I'm sure he feels the same way because he could come up here with all of his people. And I'm just like, man, they're not even knowing I'm an NF member. You know what I mean? Like, it was a trip, bro. So, man, I'm chilling with these dudes. We're barbecuing, drinking, listening to music, hanging out. You know what I'm saying? They're showing me their little pistols. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm playing it cool, like, oh yeah, that's tight. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, man, I'm just like, man, these guys are tripping. You know, a little bit, man. You know, I could be on some devious shit, but they know they're in their home area. They know they have their stuff firmly established, bro. That was a really, really organized little community, especially for out of state. You know, they ran it. They had a tight rein on that community. You know what I mean? They cruised around. They checked shit out. You know what I mean? There wasn't. I don't think they had no opposition except maybe you know, a little bit of white boys that might be on some racist type stuff up there. But that's just hypothetical because that's all there is up there are Mexicans and whites. There was nobody else. I didn't see a black, I didn't see an Asian, you know, and I was up there numerous times. But you know, them dudes turned out to be good, man. We went to the store and, you know, they were doing one thing in the store, I was doing some things in the other, you know, and I had that old white boy look at me funny shit, and I'm like, what's up? And the white boy was saying something. Man, next thing I knew, four of those dudes were right behind me, like looking over my shoulder, like I was their homie. Like, hey, is there a problem here? To the white boys, and white boys skedaddled, and you know, everybody see in a small town like that, like we're talking small, just a few thousand people. Everybody knows everybody, you know. And if I'm up there looking like I'm looking, you know, rolling in something clean, they have a feeling that I'm in there infringing on their business. You know what I mean? And that I'm not welcome. It wasn't the case with the Southsider dudes. They were a subdivision of 18th. That's all I can remember. I don't remember their hood. They were with 18th in some form or fashion. But they had my back, man. They showed it to me there, you know. And there was one other occasion, I don't remember, where another Mexican, he wasn't one of their people, tried to say something to me like, what you doing? Like basically something about California, just something petty, bro. I would slap shit out of them, you know what I mean? But they were like, man, get the fuck out of here with that shit. This is our friend, you know what I mean? I'm just like, wow, they treated me like one of their own, you know, and maybe even more so. They were having their females bring me beers, you know what I mean? Hey, bring the homie a beer, you know, get him a plate, you know, just like straight family. And we ended up doing business like that for quite some time. You know, I cut the trips down and brought more, you know what I mean? Just because, man, you know, you start crossing state lines with whoop-de-whoop, you might as well try to reduce the amount of times you do it. You know, because every time you take a trip, the odds get higher that you're going to get popped. You know what I mean? It's just it's simple mathematics. You know, so, you know, I take one, then I took three, then I took five, and then I took like 10 a couple times. You know what I mean? There was never a problem with the money. I stopped dealing with the person that I knew up there directly and started dealing with that dude Gato. Man, there was never an inkling of any suspicion of trying to be set up. It was just nothing but good business and respect all the way around. And yeah, I couldn't believe that, man. You know, that's like the main time that I work with them dudes. And another one, real quick, another little story is I'm coming back from Detroit one time and I get pulled over in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they try to say I got warrants in California, and I don't. I just went to court. Well, they got ways of, when you go to court, they're supposed to clear everything, you know, city, county, state, nationally. They cleared my warrant city, county, state, but they forgot to put it into like NCIC or whatever the fuck it is, their National Criminal Investigations something. So Utah Highway Patrol takes my ass to jail. They pulled me over, said my car was smoking and shit, and that wasn't the case. I had a nice ride. What it was a California plate, and they were being nosy. So they take me to this jail. It's West Jordan. It's a, you know, suburbs of Salt Lake City, big ass jail. And I go in there. I'm in there over the weekend. Of course, I get arrested on a Friday. I don't get out till Monday. But I'm in my cell. I come in late at night, so I don't see nobody. Man, like 5 in the morning, they're 4 in the morning, they're handing out breakfast. They open my tray slot. I get up, and this dude comes to hand me my plate. He's got a 1 through one eye and an 8 through the other. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna, man, they think they got a treat. You know what I'm saying? He can't tell what I am at the time though. But so, you know, I get up, I eat my breakfast, I'm looking around. Everybody in there is a Southsider, Sureño. I'm just like, oh, so fucking, they come out 8 o'clock or something to let people out for free time, whatnot. I just pop out the shirt and come out the cell, let it be known. I got this big ass tattoo on my chest, like, hey, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. Let's not wait for it. Let's handle this, get it out the way. I come out the cell, everybody's looking at me. I'm the new guy, you know what I mean? I'm pretty damn stacked at the time too. Bet you, man, 4, maybe 500. Well, deputy tells me right away, hey, you gotta have your shirt on. So I put my shirt on. You know, I knew. I just wanted, hey, this is who I am. You know, if you're gonna do something, let's do it. I don't want to sit here and think about it all day. So I start walking around the day room, whatever, you know, just acting like I'm doing laps, looking around, checking everything out. And they got like glass that goes outside and it's reflective. You know what I mean? You can You can see everything behind you. So I take some naps and I go sit down where I can watch everything, either the full vision or, kind of behind my back. And they don't say shit. They don't act funny. I get up, I go to walk again, and one of the Southsiders, he tells me, he's like, hey, you play spades or dominoes? I can't remember. It was either dominoes or spades. And I'm like, it was dominoes. I'm like, yeah, I can play. I'm like, nah, this is where they're gonna try to get me, right? But I don't want to act like I'm a bitch. You know what I'm saying? He's like, come play, man. I'm like, so all right. I come sit down. I start playing. We're joking. They're like, hey, you're from Khalifa, so I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're Norteño. I'm like, yeah, why? Is that a problem? And they're like, nah, man, we ain't tripping like that. That's California shit. You know what I mean? And here, fucking, we kind of all rock together. And I'm like, well, that's not what I heard. So I'm still tripping because I heard they're gonna take off on me. But they're like, look, they call me Wedo. They're like, look, Wedo, you ain't gonna have no problems here, man. Don't even trip, man. We're not tripping on you at all. They were tripping more with some Crips at the time, the Samoans and shit. There's a lot of Samoan Crips in Salt Lake City. Man, and I just chilled. They brought me some food, brought me a little hygiene packet. And I was like, damn, okay. They're like, hey, come sit with us when it was time to eat, because you have lunch and dinner outside your cell. You only have outside your cell. You only have breakfast in your room. I was sitting at their tables, fully in conversation. You know what I mean? They're like, they're telling me the white boys probably won't like me, but they'll back me up. I'm just like, fuck, bro. But anyway, man, those are just two little quick examples of working with the Surenos. They ain't no different. They're cool. They have my back on a few occasions. And especially in that little town, they were serious. They if somebody would have fucked with me, they would have got off like I was from their hood. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Anyway, just wanted to share that with y'all. Trippy stories, huh? It's your boy Rojo. This is the Rojo Room, and I hope you guys have a great Tuesday.